Hello everyone and welcome back to Football Manager 2018 and the second part of this experiment where we're seeing what would happen if you created a 9-tier European Super League, removing all of the existing leagues and creating one structure for all of the big teams across Europe. Now, in the first part of this experiment, if you haven't seen it, you should go back and watch it. We did see Manchester United become the champions of all of Europe with their league title ahead of Barcelona, ahead of Man City and ahead of Real Madrid. Really interesting that Man United were the team that came out on top here, and also that it is just English and Spanish teams in the top 7 with Monaco and Juventus and Munich further behind. So a clear order being established at the top level. But it's going to be interesting to see which teams may do well having been promoted. So if we just have a quick look at the teams that were promoted, Athletic Bilbao managed to come up, another Spanish team getting promoted just ahead of Espanyol, who did very well. And then in the Central League, it was Borussia Mönchengladbach who got promoted alongside Torino, who went up through the playoffs. And then in the Eastern League, it was Besiktas that's going to join the big team, the big league for next season. So interesting to see how those teams get on the following season and who else joins them further down the leagues. Remember that there are 3 leagues in each of the lower tiers except for the bottom one. So I'm going to go forward 1 year in time and then we'll go through the leagues reasonably quickly to see who's done well and where the kind of balance is shifting. And then we'll go forward another year after that to see how the teams have done. But if you are enjoying this experiment, do drop a like on the video. It lets me know that you guys want another part to this series. So if you do want another part, hit that like button. And make sure to subscribe for more episodes in this series and future experiments as well. But let's go forward 1 year in time. Well, we are now 1 year in the future, and if we start in the bottom tier, you can see that it's Bodo or Glimt that have managed to win the bottom division, with Wigan in second place. A few other teams managing to go up as well. Remember, there are 60 teams in this league, and right at the bottom, we have Levadia, who got just 1 draw across 59 games. They lost 58 of those matches with a minus 157 goal difference. That is just really quite special that they managed to achieve that. If we just have a quick look at Levadia, we can see they were actually relegated from the higher division last season and then dropped down to the bottom tier. I'm not sure where they're from. They've got Estonian, Scottish and Italian players. They're from Tallinn, so they are Estonian. And they are the worst team in all of Europe as far as we can tell. They actually seem to do better in the higher division than the bottom one, but I think that's because this has got a lot more leagues across all 3 spheres of Europe, whereas they will have dropped out of the Eastern League, which is the weakest of all the leagues. So maybe that's why they've underperformed. But you can see a lot of variation in this league. You've got Shamrock, Cork and Derry all doing reasonably poorly, but at the top, the English teams, a lot of the established leagues, doing pretty well. St Johnstone, unfortunate not to get promoted, having finished in 7th place. And very tight there across the top. Quite a few teams getting 100 points. But Bodo and Glimt, the teams going up. In the next tier up in the Eastern League, it was NAC that managed to win this league, with Kilmarnock in 2nd place. So these are teams that have been promoted from the bottom tier up into this league, not based on their geography, just on how the game has split them across the different leagues, which is why they've won this at an absolute canter, because the other teams are just not good enough. Even Portsmouth finishing up in 9th as a newly promoted side. In the central region, you can see Omonoe and Partizani doing reasonably well. This is the Eastern. I've gone back a year. I'm going to get that right eventually. If we go up to the Central League and then drop back, you can see Blackpool have won this one absolutely brilliantly, with Burton up there as well. Gymnastic missing out on promotion. Bolton getting the win too. Down at the bottom of the league table, you can see Lotte and Halmstad getting relegated. I'm going to stop doing that eventually. If we go up to the West Division and take a look, then we can see that Reading have won the league here, with Mechelen and Bruges also doing well. So the English team's doing very, very well in these leagues. I imagine they're going to get much higher up as this balances out over time. But Reading doing very well there. And down at the bottom, it's traditionally the lesser kind of leagues in terms of the coefficients doing that well. Now, if we take a look at the Eastern Division for the 4th European League, you can see Lugo won that by quite some way, with the show doing well. These, again, two teams that I think were promoted last time, and they've done extremely well just winning that league straight away the next season. But it's a weak league, the Eastern League, which is why they're just going to keep firing up through the divisions. They have lost 10 games, though, which is quite a lot. And if we take a look at that Central League, then you can see that Sunderland have won this league by quite some way. Cesana and Empoli doing well as well. Again, the three promoted teams winning the league because the Central and Eastern leagues just are not strong enough. And then in the Western League, which is a little bit more difficult, you can see Brentford, Cordoba, Sion doing pretty well there. And then further down, I mean, Millwall and Partick Thistle are around the same level here. Dundee got relegated, which isn't great for them. In the Eastern League of the third tier, Tenerife winning this, AGF in there, Heidenheim. Tenerife, obviously one of the teams that did get promoted. I'm not sure about AGF. I think Heidenheim also would have been promoted the year before. And in the Central League, a few difficult teams in here. Numancia and Sheffield Wednesday doing very well. Brest getting high up there but not doing quite enough. Pescara doing well. And then down at the bottom, it's the Swedish leagues that are struggling. In the Western League, which again, much more difficult, we can see Hull, Preston and Sheffield United absolutely tore that league apart, winning by a decent way. Navarra and Sporting Gijon further back also getting promoted up into the top tier. And down at the bottom, Motherwell getting relegated. Istra, teams that you don't really recognise too much. Eastern League for the Europe League 2, which is the fourth tier, if I remember right. We can see Barry and Kaiserslautern, St. Pauli, Carpi, Aberdeen all getting promoted there. There are 5 teams relegated and 6 promoted from this league. So you can see the 5 teams that came up the year before all getting promoted pretty much straight away. Possibly Real Oviedo should have been promoted as well here. But the Sia Empoli lastly managed to go through. And then in the Central League, again, the English teams absolutely dominating, as is kind of expected, really. And I think they're going to absolutely control the top 2 tiers of this European Super League in the future, with a few Spanish, Italian, French and German teams around there as well. But you can see at the bottom, these other teams just don't have any chance against these big sides. I'm interested to know maybe what the financial rewards are for each of these leagues. I didn't actually look that up before I loaded this. So if any of you happen to know, do let me know down in the comments what the payment structure is, and if any of these teams that keep getting relegated are actually going to be able to have any money to spend on new players, because I just didn't think that through before. But you can see Berlin United and Sandhausen doing very well and getting promoted in the Europe League. Oh, that was the year before. Again, I've done that. If we go to the Western League, then we can see QPR, Rance and Cadiz getting promoted this time. Amiens Vitesse missing out. It's a decent league, this. There's a few good teams in there. But FC Twente nearly getting relegated is a bit of a surprise. Just about hanging on there. Up into the third tier now. You can see Derby winning this league by 15 points over Ingolstadt. Akayenspor, Rosenborg and Fulham also going up. Again, mostly Turkish teams and those from those sort of areas. And the teams that have been promoted or relegated into this league performing very, very well. In the Central League, I imagine it's a similar story. And you can see Middlesbrough and Leeds in there from either a relegation or a promotion, but they're winning the league quite comfortably. Verona doing well as well. Nuremberg and Berlin United getting a second consecutive promotion there, up into the second tier. And if we take a look at the West League, we can see Deportivo La Coruña winning the league. Levante, Aston Villa, Metz and Dijon all up there as well. Herenveen just missing out. This not that strong a league, really, when you look at it. I think maybe the league below it could actually be a little bit stronger than this, but it'd be interesting to see how that works out. And then into the second tier, I'm pretty sure this is. Finally, Newcastle winning a title there and getting promoted up to the next division. Is it the next one? Or is there still another tier above it? I can't quite tell. Wolves, West Brom and West Ham all going up as well. Rubin going up. The English teams dominating here. Again, it's the Eastern League, so they shouldn't be in it. They're in there because of a promotion or a relegation, and that's why they're cleaning up so easily. As you can see, it was won by CSK Sofia the season before. Now in the Central League, we can see that Brighton have won this one with 100 points, which is quite low really. 10 draws and 10 defeats, 30 wins. Cologne, Stuttgart, Huddersfield, Malaga also doing very well. Big established teams getting promoted. And then in the West Division, which is a little bit more difficult, you can see Real Betis have won that with 106 points. Stoke going up as well. Hamburg and Montpellier, Basel all struggling. And down at the bottom, Rangers for the second year in a row just avoiding relegation. So that was the third tier. This is the second tier. I've got to remember there's a Premier League second tier, Championship third tier, and then you get into the ordinary Super League numbering system. Now we can see here in the East Division there's a few unfamiliar teams, and that's why it was won by Leipzig. The only team to get promoted here, a German team in the Eastern Division. Again, one that either got relegated or promoted into this league, and they've done very well, but Kiev weren't far away. Zenit also doing well, Spartak Moscow doing well. But you can see the teams here getting relegated are teams that appear in the Champions League quite frequently. Now, in the Central Division, it was Freiburg who got promoted ahead of Watford and Fiorentina, Wolfsburg, Lazio, Schalke. That is a good league. And Freiburg, I think, have done extremely well to win that league by 2 points over Watford. Teams towards the bottom, Sparta Prague, Dinamo, Midtjylland, Hajduk and Legia all getting relegated. And in that Western League, a very tough one this, it was won by Benfica. Now, they did really poorly last season, but they've absolutely come back and smashed it there. And they are 10 points clear of Porto and Burnley, who are really making a push to get into the top division here. Leicester struggling down in 8th place, Everton really not getting to grips with this, and Celtic nearly relegated as well. Palace have been relegated. Now, the Super League is the very interesting one here. Manchester United won the very first European Super League, and the second one has gone to Bayern Munich, who've come back from down in around 7th place. They have managed to get up to the top division, get up to the top of the division and win it 6 points clear of Manchester United. Real Madrid falling all the way back to 7th place. The winners of the Champions League were Chelsea last year, and they finished in 5th place as well. So Man United losing the title to Bayern Munich, which is an interesting little switch around. Now, if we have a look at the Champions League, if we can load it up, Europe Champions League, here we go. And if we look at the stages for this, drop back 1 year, and then just go straight, I think, to the semi-finals. You can see Bayern Munich and Chelsea looking to retain their title, made it to the final. But in the grand final, it was won by Bayern Munich at Wembley, 2-1 over Chelsea there. So they have done the double, the very first team to ever win the European Super League double with the Champions League and the Super League in their pocket. They are, without doubt, the strongest team in Europe. Currently managed by Jurgen Klopp, Müller, Lewandowski, Neuer, all still there. Quick look at the transfers for this season, and you can see the biggest one, Harry Kane going to United for 100 million, Dybala moving to City for 95, and Asensio moving to Chelsea for 87 million. Quite a few big transfers in there. Salah's gone to Bayern Munich, which will have helped them massively. Christensen going to PSG as well. But not too many other major names moving across that I can see there, although there are some decent sized transfers. Although that's the most current season, actually. The season before that, again, mostly pre-existing transfer. Casemiro, an interesting shift. Willian going to United, which is rumoured to be happening in real life. And Martial moving to Bayern Munich. So a few interesting transfers there for you to take a look at. But let's go forward another year and see how we get on. And we'll go through it even quicker than we just did. Well, we are another year into the future now, and as you can see, Petrolul have won the bottom tier. Hamilton getting promoted as well, which is good to see. St Johnstone also going up there. A couple of Scottish teams getting out of the bottom tier. And at the bottom, Levadia once again finishing bottom with just 1 point and possibly an even worse goal difference. Nobody around them for company. They are just the worst team in Europe without any doubt, as this game is showing. Now, if we go up to the Eastern League, we're going to go through these leagues very quickly. Kazalat doing well. Dundee getting promoted is an interesting one. Willem not doing as well as maybe they should, because they should have a better advantage over the Eastern teams. Now in the Central League, it was Gymnastique that managed to win. Just going to let you have the opportunity to pause these if you want to look at them in more detail. And let me know in the comments if you see something that I miss that's quite outstanding. But Wigan and Birmingham going up in the Western Division. Portsmouth a little bit further away. In the Eastern Europe League 4, you can see Reading at the top there. Quite a nice sort of top 6 there. Borac, NAC also going up, but the Eastern teams really struggling to compete with the Central and Western teams that are appearing in their league now. And in the Central Division, Burton winning it by 1 point over Avellino. Blackburn getting another promotion there as well. Millwall just missing out. In the Western League, it is Real Zaragoza who've managed to win the league. Partizani doing well. Almeria, Clermont, Lens and Ostend. And down towards the bottom, Motherwell getting relegated is poor. Europe League 3, we've got Brentford winning this one, 3 points clear of Aves. Cordoba and Rizaispor also down there, but Brentford winning the Eastern League quite comfortably, as we see that theme occurring all over the league structure. Now, Belenenses have won the Central League, Portuguese team doing very well there, ahead of Brest and Empoli. Auxerre also struggling to get out. A lot of defeats for the top teams here, a very even league this one. If we go to the Western League, we can see Granada have won this by 20 points, a huge winning margin for them. Nancy and Valladolid also going up. The league structure of East West Central starting to fall apart now. There's a lot of Eastern teams in this league. And then if we go up to League 2, Real Oviedo with the promotion this time out of the Eastern League. Couple of Eastern teams actually doing well this time, ahead of Sheffield Wednesday. And in the Central League 2, Hull, Preston, Bristol all cleaning up quite comfortably. And in the Western one, Amiens, Vitesse and AGF doing well there. Sheffield United not getting promoted when they maybe should be in that situation. Eastern League 1, Cardiff winning it, Ipswich, Cadiz, the teams you would expect absolutely cleaning up. And then in the Central League, you can see Boca Maritimo, Rans and Osijek all going up. Grasshopper Zurich getting relegated along with Cracovia and a few other teams. And in the Western League here, you can see Las Palmas, Ferris and Genk going up with Cannes, and down towards the bottom. Again, it's Eastern teams getting relegated. They are really being disadvantaged, and the lower league's just going to be full of the Eastern teams soon, I can imagine. Now into the third tier, Lille going up. They should be a lot higher than they are as former French champions. Derby up there as well, getting promoted with Spal and Tripoli, who've done well for an Eastern team. That's going the wrong way. If we go up to the Central Division, then it has been won by Leeds, Middlesbrough in second, 20 points behind, Hamburger in third, and Crystal Palace being outshone by Middlesbrough and Leeds, which is a little bit unusual. Villa further back, Fulham further down as well. And then in the Western League, the teams going up, Deportivo La Coruña, second consecutive promotion for them. Levante, Angers and Dusseldorf also going up, Basel missing out. Rangers this time have managed to get much further away from the relegation places. Now into the second division. Only one team gets promoted here, remember, and Köln have done it this time, ahead of Zenit St. Petersburg in the Eastern region. Genoa, Stuttgart down there. The Eastern teams falling well down to the bottom of this league now, as it fills in with players from the Central and Western leagues, or teams from the Central and Western leagues. In the Central League, the team getting promoted is Nice, ahead of West Brom by 1 goal. West Brom nearly into the Super League, 1 goal away there. Really unfortunate. And down at the bottom, the Eastern teams getting relegated again. And then in the Western League, the winners were Southampton. Newcastle have missed out by just 2 points there from Southampton, but finishing above Porto, Real Sociedad, some very good teams in there. Even Everton and Leicester really struggling and getting relegated at the bottom there. Celtic just not able to quite compete. And then if we get up into the Super League, remember, won by Bayern Munich last time, and this time it's Manchester United who take it. 1 point in it ahead of Juventus there. Man City, Chelsea, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, and then Barcelona, Liverpool in 8th. PSG struggling in this new league system. Now they're finally in a competitive league. And down at the bottom, Leipzig, Bilbao and Freiburg, the 3 promoted teams, all getting relegated. So not doing enough there to manage to stay in this division. Freiburg, who were the surprise promotion team, finishing well clear at the bottom. So this league not shifting around that much. The teams that are in here are largely remaining in here. And it's the same teams appearing at the top. Not too much change there, really. Now, if we have a quick look at the Champions League, then we can see in the Europe Champions League, if we go to the stages screen, drop back a year, and then go to the semi-finals once more, we can see PSG beat Man City. Bayern Munich going to retain it. Managed to get past Juventus on aggregate, but lost their second leg at home. But in the final, that's the wrong way. if we get to the final, in the grand final, it was won by PSG. Bayern Munich losing in the final there, not able to retain it. I did forget to look at the Europa Cup last season, so if we go back to the season before, remember this is the lesser teams really, so you've got this team here, which I've never even heard of, winning on penalties against Norwich. Brentford going through to the final as well, and in the final it was won by Brentford. They've won the Europa League, the modern interpretation of it anyway. And the following year, it was Braunschweig that won it ahead of Preston. So I think it's just the bottom leagues that end up falling into this one. You can see here, this is Europa League 2 West, and you've got Europe League 2 Central, East, West. So this is Leagues 2 and 3, by and large, as far as I can tell. You can see here, Leagues... It goes as high as about League 2. I think League 1 is going into the Champions League at that point. So that's the structure of this Europa Cup. But that is also going to be it for this episode. Do drop a like on the video if you're enjoying this series and finding it interesting. Make sure to subscribe for the next part if there is one. And you can also get more experiments every couple of days on the channel. There's also a Discord down below and my Twitter and Patreon, everything else that you could possibly want, all in the description. But until next time. See ya!